2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. One, two, three, four. You should be able to hear me. Okay. Sound is good. Okay, cool. All right, let's do the thing. Okay, sweet. All right, welcome everybody. If you are just getting here, chime in. We're on 3 streams. We're on the Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And there are 2 places on Facebook, the HoopPath and my page. I can't see who enters and leaves, but it's kind of cool. I took my first online hoop class the other night with Ann, and I get it. I can see why you guys might dig this. It was fun, and it was fun to watch people chime in and say what's up. So thank you to everybody that's joining and say what's up to people. It's fun, and you might get recognized. I've noticed that on some of the replays on YouTube, a lot of them, you can see everybody else's comments. Restream, the service that I use, is posting those. So maybe you can check that out. YouTube is definitely the place to find the replays. I'm not getting asked by you that are tuning in, but I'm getting asked by people every single day about the replays. And I just want to, I'm not frustrated or anything, but I feel like the word's not getting out. They're all on YouTube, okay? And the music is there without any censoring. So I want to jump straight into class. I'm going to make a little bit, I want to talk a little bit about tonight's class. I like to teach a bunch of different ways. And I do kind of have method, but I really just like to teach a bunch of different ways. And I tried to teach a bunch of different ways for folding. And I'll be honest with you, I had some success, and I had some not so success. And so what I want to do tonight is go with the technique that has worked the best for me for teaching folding, which is pretty techy. But the idea just with any technique you learn in HoopPath is the moment the technique takes life and you feel it, you just go for it, and you don't have to listen to my ass anymore, and you just do whatever you want to. But what I'm going to do tonight is go over some folding basics and what I think are and when I say basic, I'm really honoring that word. That's like foundations for me. There are foundations. And so, if you are on YouTube, I'm at 480 because I have shitty internet. So if you have a teenager that can switch the TV up for you to 480, go for it. Anyway, so I'm going to teach kind of techie and move through all different types of folding, and it's going to be super beginner. And if you're a HoopPather or just a hooper in general, I'm sure you've done a lot of these things before. And just remember, in HoopPath classes, like in real life, you're allowed to flow off into your own thing anytime you want to. And even if I could see you, that would be totally cool. So one thing I want to say about folding, and I feel a little self-conscious saying this, but I feel like there's a reason I need to say this. I've been hooping a long time, and when I've been hooping, there will be certain movement modalities, within hooping, that just sort of take me over. And what became folding for me was one of those modalities, that the flow just moved. And I went out, I was teaching on the road, and so I went out and I put videos up and I called it folding. Now, I had never heard anybody call folding before, But I had seen loads of people do foldy things. And so, like I labeled it folding. Now, if there was somebody else somewhere before me or at the same time or whatever that also called it folding, that's awesome. But in my story, I had never heard anyone called it folding, and the only reason that I really gave it a name was for awareness, just so I would remember, because it became so fun for me. All right, so I don't want to spend that much time talking. I really want us to have a full session. It's just me tonight. I am solo. I have no studio audience. I am completely on my own here. So I'm not as good at checking the comments when I'm doing that, but I will try. The comments that I really care about are the sound. And if the mic is too loud, if I'm peaking your speakers or whatever, it's probably going to play a little bit lower than it normally does, but you should be able to turn it up more. I realized that I was kind of peaking the software, so I've turned it down a little bit. Anyway, we'll get going. Sweet, welcome. Oh, hey, Jody. Welcome. We're going to talk folding. Remember, this is super beginner, entry level. If you're a HoopPather, like almost every name that I'm seeing in front of me, then you just do what you want to. Scooping. Huh, trippy. That makes sense. I can see that. She said somebody called it scooping. Okay, let me... Okay, here we go. That light's a little weird. And this playlist is already put together on SoundCloud, and because I'm doing a techie class tonight, the playlist is going to be kind of streamlined with the same type of sound. So if you hate this sound, that's going to suck. But hopefully you'll like it. And we're going to start with a sway tonight. If you're new to the HoopPath, I start every class with free movement, and this is your time to do whatever, warms you up. And I cannot stress, not from a teacher's perspective, but just from the perspective of a fellow mover, that warm-up can change the course of your entire practice. Especially for somebody like me who has, and maybe like you, that has an anxious mind. Ram Dass was the first teacher that I had that talked about separation from the moment. Sway is kind of that separation. It's that pull back from that super instantaneous thing. And it becomes this kind of way of opening for me. Audible breath in. In sway, you can move any way you want. And I suggest that you move in a way that feels good. I taught these classes on the road in the form of a workshop for many, many years. And the most beautiful thing to watch for me wasn't people's hooping, but it was their sway. They would all be blindfolded, and I could watch them open the more that they were relaxed. Audible breath in. Audible breath in. The space in front of me is day. Behind me is night. My range of motion is my day and my night. Audible breath in. If you like this track, this is Stratosphere. I love this guy's music. I actually did a meditation with him that you can find on my SoundCloud. Good. Open, 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 open. Big breath in, come home to the body. The space above me is my northern arc, and when I'm alone and I'm feeling completely without any sort of sense of self-consciousness, I just reach high and feel that space. Open, 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 open. If you're willing to try hooping, you've probably gotten used to embarrassing movement. But I've watched some people who are so afraid of embarrassing movement that they don't try anything. And it's okay, except that a lot of times they wind up not trying anything. And they don't move as much as they probably wish they could or should. The cool thing about hooping is you're allowed to just look like a freak. Thank you to everybody that's been sharing in this time with me. You guys are keeping me alive. Not literally. But soulfully you are. Audible breath in. Not streaming on YouTube. That's weird. Okay. You can grab your hoops, and we're going to move into. Oh, got it playing. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Sorry, somebody's telling me that YouTube was going down. Okay. So. Sweet. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about folding, and what I really want to do tonight is put some music. Sweet. that feels good. Hey, Jules. How you doing? Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about folding. Now, I'm going to start off tonight with folding with Samurai. We're going to be using Samurai folds mostly. So what I want you to do is, I'll bring the music up a little bit. What I want you to do is, first, this is folding. Let me show you what folding is or could be. Oh, I've never dropped a hoop before. That was the first time. Fold, 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 fold. This is folding. So what I want you to do is we're going to use Samurai for our fold first, and probably only. And so here's my hoop. I'm holding the hoop. That Samurai just means you can grip it. That's all it means. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to move your hoop back and forth. and grip it kind of tightly, right? Right now I've got tight grip on it. And even if I'm moving enough, if I'm moving big enough with this tight grip, then the moment I release it a little bit, the hoop is going to want to swing. So I'm holding it in this tight grip, and then I release, and the hoop swings. That's a fold. A fold is any time the hoop moves on an imaginary axis in any way. It could be a penny. I'll show you different kinds of folds. So I'm here, and I'm moving quickly, and then I'm using my grip really tight, and I can feel where it hurt, like it resists more than other times. And if I loosen that grip, the hoop moves. This is folding kind of like with an isolation sort of feel to it. And then of course you should switch arms. We're working not just on our hoop skill, but on our 80-year-old self. So I switch both hands. And this is the kind of motion that I want you to work on. You see how I'll keep my wrist here. I'm developing swing and grip. This is samurai or folding basics. If you're really new to hooping and you have a gigantic hoop, don't be embarrassed of that hoop. That's your baby. Don't be embarrassed of that hoop. But eventually, you will probably graduate to a new size. And all I encourage you is to not feel pressure to go too small. For whatever reason, there's a pressure some people feel to go too small. And you should think of it like skating or surfing, that there's just different shaped boards, there's different lengths, different people like to do different things. I found 38, and I found 39, and then my hoop maker makes a 38, so I dealt with it. So I'm switching my hands, and then I can start to put both hands on this. And then this is where folding can be fun, where I'm creating a circuit. Oops, I was creating a circuit. What was I doing? No, okay, yeah. Good. These are the basics of folding. And what I'm doing is creating a hinge. And one of the early moves that you could do with folding was, a step through, or what we call threading, or I've heard called threading. And I'm not that good at this, I'll just be honest with you, but where I step through the hoop. And I'm using my grip to help create rhythm, and then adding the movement of my arm to create zip around it. And if I can switch, like this is if I switch on that thread. Step throughs are folds. The hoop is folding, it's moving across an imaginary axis. Switch. For those of you that have folded before, adding hops to your folds, kind of makes it a little bit more fun. So I'm here on this thread, we'll step through it, but then hop to the other hand, or hop on the step through. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. Hopping, switching grips, switching hands. Yeah, I'm just saying in HoopPath terms, it's a fold, yeah. Okay, so one other fold that I want you to feel, and then we're going to put these together slowly, is a fold on the floor, and we can feel a kind of palm spin. So a palm spin is a fold, at least in HoopPath terminology. Sweet. Thanks, guys, for commenting. I'm trying to read these all, but this is awesome. But what I'd like you to do is to play with this for a moment. This is like a palm spin type fold. And what I want you to feel is like you're having the hoop on your ground. Hopefully you don't have shag carpeting. But if you do, this is tough to do in shag carpeting. But you're gonna spin the hoop, and I'm gonna push down, and I'm gonna find a spin point. The hoop's probably gonna pivot around on that spin point, but I'm gonna find a spin point on it. And then I can try to push my palm into the spin point there. There's 2 currents to this, and I can practice both currents on the floor. And then there's 2 arms to this, and I can practice. And the reason why I'm keeping it on the floor is I'm really interested just in the feeling of the hoop in my hand right now. And then I can start to add, as I listen to the music, I can add a little bit of rhythm, and your hand will just naturally break. Learning this here will actually help you learn it when you take it up in the air. Good. Actually, this rhythm is a great fold that this reminds me so much, or the guy, a lot of us have done stuff, but then you'll see somebody that did it and took it crazy far. It was just so awesome. Dustin Hubel was a guy who just took leaning the hoop next to you, like I'm leaning it to me right now. I know this is super kind of hoop geeky, but leaning the hoop, and then you move with it to try and keep the hoop up. And then I don't know if he did this or I added this, but I think he did. It's just amazing. You should look up his videos. But, starting to add, what we would call in HoopPath terms, paddles to this. So this is folding. I'm hubeling. In my mind, I always call it hubeling. Dusty Hubel. Thank you, brother. I'm not teaching it. He does a lot more than this. This is just the basic, I think, even. But it can be very fun, especially if you're trying to get into the hoop. I'm leaning the hoop against me. This is a fold. And then once I start to put a little bit of push on this, then I start to get into those palm spins that we were talking about. So I'm here, and I'm just spinning the hoop out, and I can kick it and then spin. So these are fold basics. This would be me folding the hoop up, but we'll talk about that later. All right. So then, so we go from the floor, we go from the hubeling, and then these are palm spins, and they're essentially a fold. And I'll just own it that I'm not super amazing at these because I pretty much only use them one way. I hardly ever twist more than 180, and I use them really just to punctuate beats in music. This is me palm spinning one way, and this is me palm spinning the other way. And these are folds, and if you've never done a palm spin before, this is the weirdest advice, but if you pretend that your hand is an elephant's trunk, your whole arm is an elephant's trunk, inhale when you do the palm spin, and it tends to stick to the hoop, so just... All right, here we go. I know that's crazy, but it always seems to work with students. What can help is to push the bottom of the bottom part of your wrist into the hoop on the palm spin. Oh. There's currents to palm spins, right? There's one current one way, one current the other way, and you can practice those currents. This is if I kind of sort of interrupt the palm spin with a toss, but this is a good thing to work on. One also thing you can work on is the around the finger twirl. These are all folding concepts, but I'm letting the hoop twirl through my fingers. And then I bring that twirl up. Oh, that wasn't good. Twirling is definitely folding, right? Basically, it's any time the hoop is not going around you. It's basically a fold. So your whole world's kind of opened up. My hoop's not that heavy. There is no rhyme or reason. It's just a lack of experience. I mean, a lack of touch experience in your hand. Like your non-dominant hand may be weirder than your other hand. Sometimes your non-dominant hand becomes better because you're more focused on the palm spin. Hey, Chop. So this is me starting to add what we've been working on, and I'll shut up a little bit to give you a chance to flow, but this is, if I start to fold a little bit and swing that hoop out and stop it, then palm spin. Bring the music up some. Flowing together. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do everything right now, but this is me flowing with it. Well, I'm doing a little bit. We'll learn that move in a second. Palm spin, palm spin, palm spin. Going back to the floor and hubling. Doing that good. I'm going to keep it on the floor. One thing, if you are, as you're developing a new concept or a skill, develop your non-dominant hand right along with it. You might as well. And in these exercises, if you use your left hand, you may not notice it tomorrow or in a week, but over time, you'll start to feel like you have more control of your non-dominant side. It does release your G.I. Joe Kung Fu grip. That's right, keep breathing. And then I could add threads through this. And I'll just be honest with you, I don't thread very often, so I don't want to sell it out like I do. When I do thread, I usually like to hop while doing it. Just seems to make it a little bit more interesting. But I mean, obviously, people do dope stuff. There's so much good hooping. Okay. Hey guys, you're welcome. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit more about folds, and this time we're going to talk. Let me make sure I got this right. Yeah, we're going to talk about hug folds, because this is kind of a fun way to fold, and it gets momentum on the hoop. And as you go in deeper into folding, if you actually dig it, it's all about creating momentum. In the My Dance story, it's a bunch of water that is released at the top of a mountain, and it rolls mythically down that mountain. That burst of energy is kind of how you fold. Like I'll sort of show you what I'm talking about. Like this is, if you are, at least in the old school way, like 2010 when we were folding, or I don't know, whatever year it was. And we would stop and then kind of engage. And so you're looking for that kind of momentum in folding. And one way that you can get it is with hug folds. And so if I hug my arms together, the hoop is going to whip around me, kind of no-brainer. Now you might have a different size hoop than me, and so you might have to adjust this, but this is a hug fold. And then, once you've been doing them a while, you'll feel into that second point of contact wherever it becomes. Not just by second, I mean not the hand. And you'll feel that. And when you start to really zone in on that, you can get some pretty quick, I don't know if you could hear it on this mic, but you can sometimes get so much momentum you can hear it. These are hug folds. Oh, sorry. And if you've been to some HoopPath, we're not going to talk about it right now, but this is that move where you can add 2-point one arm. They're essentially hug folds. But for those of you that don't know that, we're back here. And this is where, like, it might surprise some people, but this is back in the day, I used to drill just this, and that's why I'm staying here. It's just to drill this feeling and start to, you let your body feel comfortable with it, start to feel what works, start to feel what doesn't work. What's cool about your body is that it wants to learn how to hoop. It will solve the problem. It wants to solve the problem. You know, after 15 years of teaching, I've realized that people just don't trust that their body will solve the problem. They don't trust that they'll solve the problem, and they panic in that distrust instead of just like learning new movement. So if I wanted to go all the way around the whole, like the hug, so I'm here, I'm hugging the hoop towards me, that's what's making it come around. If it comes all the way around, then I'm gonna push my elbow up into night so that it's, you know, it's holding it back there. You see that? And then the other elbow here will duck in and I'll hug it again. Okay, so like, whoop. Oops. Oh, shit, sorry y'all. I'm not trying to give you, damn. All right, hold on. Okay, so those are folds. I'll try to turn my mic off so I don't whap the hell out of it and give you guys headaches. These are hug folds. These can become really cool things to play with. This is if I keep it on the same hand. And what you're really doing, and you can call them anything you want to, you're creating a hinge. And that's what I'd like you to play with right now. Again, this is a beginner class, and my hope is that one of these ways of folding might strike you, and you might be like, ooh, I just did something cool, or I just did something I like. With folding, there's no, like, everything is folding, really. Good. This is me. Well, we'll hold off for that. This is if I want to go around. There's a couple of different ways we could do this. The other night on the point, 2-point, we did it a different way, but this is just the simple way. I'm here, hug, comes across, hand goes in. You need momentum to pull it off. Oops, that keeps wanting to hit my mic. I'm sorry, y'all. I will bring back the HoopPath retreat. It's coming. Nice. Every hinge is a door opening, and then so true with that, right? And like, so this is like if I wanted to just build on some of this, the basics. Like I could do a hug thread, you know, where I hug the hoop. Oops, sometimes I can do a hug thread where I hold the hoop and thread myself through it. Boom. Oops, sorry, man. I'm not used to wearing a mic and threading, apparently. But I hug the hoop towards me. I think my hand kind of went up into a little bit of point technique just now, but yeah, it did go into a little point technique. Maybe we'll cover that later. All right. Let's see, what else did we have here? I'm trying to show you as many different types of folding. How are we doing on time? Oh, good. We're doing good. As I can. Okay, so this is actually a good song for this. Next, we're going to talk about contact hoop folding. And contact folding with like your hand, you know, in samurai, tightening, loosening, hinge-like, can be really fun. So just like we were doing before with the hug, I want you to grab the hoop right now, right? And you're just gonna, I mean, I think we can do it here. You're just gonna pull the hoop in. It's gonna come across your leg probably. So I'm here. I mean, maybe you got a really small hoop, but I'm here, but I'm gonna let it hang. I'm gonna pull my hand towards my chest. I'm just gonna create that hug motion we were just doing. But what I wanna feel is that second point of contact. And that's called contact folding. And that's where I'm making, that's a big category. That's like saying down-tempo music. But I can pull my hand towards me and my leg is kind of pushing it off, or if you've got a small hoop, maybe it's up here. But what you start to realize is that as you're pushing or pulling the hoop or pushing the hoop, you're doing something counter to that with the body maybe, and you're making contact with the hoop. This is a sort of classic foldy drill where I'm holding the hoop in one hand here. I'm gonna keep my elbow kind of high and where it is and break it and bring my hand towards me, and the hoop is gonna make contact, and see how it folded out? And then I can grab this hand and push this hand right back out into bow. So if I did this a little bit faster, it would look like that. Again, these replays are on YouTube if you're watching and you care about this sort of thing. If you're new to, sometimes this is super simple. But it can be simple doesn't always mean easy to learn. Actually, I find it kind of the opposite. I feel like the simple things are usually the hardest to learn. And then this is if I turn it into a drill. So you see how this is a contact fold. Fold in there. So here, it's that same sort of hug thing we were doing before, but now I'm gripping it, bring it around, switch hands. If this was a regular HoopPath class, for people that had, let me turn this music up, this is dope. Once I introduce folding, then people do all the folding that they know. But if you're new to it, these are the motions we've learned so far. And contact is when I pull the hoop into me, and that creates a fold, or it creates a leverage for a fold. I guess I should mention, although I never do these, that the vertical thread, the hop through, would be a fold as well. But those threads, if you really have to get in bathing suit shape really fast, should you even try those. This is me pushing my hand into the top of the hoop to create fold. Oh, you're welcome. My hand is on the top here, and this is me creating. I've got contact here on the second point. I've got my hinge or whatever hold here, and then I've got my arm here, and I can create power there. And the thing is this is the kind of thing that you might drill, but then in your flow, it shows up for like 2 seconds or a second. This is contact folding. This would be contact folding. I'm making contact on my day side, like right on my sternum. I've got my hands in a loose samurai. Ooh, actually, we should just open to that. I hadn't thought about that before. I didn't think we'd go there, but if I'm holding the hoop and I'm holding between my thumbs and my first finger here, that's called open samurai. So my palms facing each other, loop around. And then if I start to swing my arms or just move them, that's folding. And I can apply that same type of grip that we were using on spinning on the floor to stop it, is the same type of, movement that I can use here. This is folding. I'm holding the hoop. There. Okay. I'm just trying to show you guys as many different ways to fold. If I wanted to do contact like I was doing before, I would just bring it close to me. I could smear it. A lot of smears are essentially folds. This is not folding. So anytime we break off of that and start moving the hoop, it's pretty probably it's going to be a fold. I think I'll give you a chance to just try some of those techniques. PowerPoint. We need it. You can basically play with any of these techniques that you want. I'm going to give you about a couple of minutes and then we'll swap back in. I'll swing back in. Again, these are the basics of folding. There's so much more. Actually, something I should have mentioned already, but I think it's pretty obvious, is passing from hand to hand. Boom, see, hand. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate that. Okay, there's one more thing I wanted to get at and kind of wind down. Again, this is super technique class. We'll have our normal flow classes and stuff like that later on. But I want to show you a little bit about ways to fold. And this can sort of, I should have led with this, but I do think it's important enough to cover. So if I'm holding the hoop right here, I'm holding the hoop in my left hand right now. Let me get over there. I'm holding the hoop in my left hand right now, and it's the furthest side of the hoop to left. It's the most left portion of the hoop. I'm holding it in my left hand. So this is called left near. And then if I'm holding my right hand here and it's on the right side, that's right near. Now, if I bring my right hand all the way across, that is right far. Right far. My hand is going across the body. If I switch to left near, it would be there. And then if I wanted to, I could either hop or just hold the hoop for a second and switch to here. And the reason that I point these out is that these positions can kind of help you open up new ways, if you're new to folding, of moving with this. For instance, I'm in right near and I can fold, loosening my grip to right far, and then pull back and fold and pull back and fold. And when I'm wanting to develop my wrist strength, this type of movement is great for it. Let me get a little bit. Yeah, there we go. This is me folding from top to bottom. Boom. There. Oh, the music is dope. Oh my god. Top to bottom. And then I could go continuously, right? Again, trying to cover all the basics here. This is doing the circuit. Thank you, Angie. Now this is where it can get cool too. I'm holding the hoop here, and and I go down into, like, say the 45 or the 7. For me, it's 7 o'clock. I guess it's 4 o'clock for you guys. I don't know. I can't do it. And then I flip to here, so I'm crisscrossing the hoop. So I'm like, my hand, I'll try to get a little bit. See how my hand is at my shoulder here, and I'll crisscross it down to here. And then I could jump to the other side and then crisscross it down to here. So you can kind of like add like sort of cool movement. But you don't always have to go to the polar opposite of it. Like I'm here in this whatever position you'd call this, and I can cut to here, right? Or I could pull it back into there, or I could push up into there. This is if I just stay on the top 2 corners. And the reason I'm showing you this is that if you're new to hooping, sometimes, once somebody shows you a little bit of a pattern, you take over, and that's what we're going for. Using my outer leg, huh? I don't remember that. Good. What other folds do I have for you? Oh. Okay, there's a few more that I want to add, and then we'll... kind of like a bumper. I'll have to remember that one. I hear you, Tina. I'm going to try to remember. We don't have that much time left, so let me add a couple of more things. Actually, let's try just a little bit of folding. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. A swing into contact can be a good thing to create new movement as well. So what I'm showing right now is like I swing like we've been doing. I'm going to let the hoop hinge, and then I'm going to let it make contact and slam into me on purpose, right? So I'm going to swing the hoop, stop it, and see how it wanted to move around me? Here, swings. Now, that is contact folding. So I'm going from, I'm whirling the hoop around, catching butterflies, whatever. Stop, slam it into my body. And then there's loads of cool stuff that you can do after that. Like once you get that sensation, that's like if I go into just steady folding from there. That's for another class, but just intentionally slamming the hoop can create a lot of cool action. That's me. If you turn the wrist up, you can kind of do that spin move or the twirl, but we'll talk about that later. Okay. All right, shake out the arms. We got one more thing that I wanted to say as far as wedgies or folds. I looked at my notes. Wedgies or folds, I don't do them. I probably should. I would suck. I've done them a little bit, but I think my hoop's too big. I don't know. Maybe I'm just checking. I haven't. There are folds. Okay, so what I wanted to talk a little bit about is about fold hops, and this will give us a nice wind down. So this is hopping right here. This is hopping right here. So a fold hop would mean that I put some turn on it, and that's a fold hop. And at first you should work on them. You should just drill them. If they turn you on and that's what you like, you want to learn how to do them. Just drill the catching of them first. But once you get the basics of catching, then you kind of want to add some footwork to them. This would be a 360. I'm basically doing 180. 360. Oh, no, that's 360. There we go. I'm not confident tonight. I like to, when I do these fold hops, I like to like kind of move into, use them to transition. Again, I'm holding the hoop. This is a regular hop. That's a regular hop. This is a fold. And then I'll just sneak this in since we're almost out of time. Some of you should remember the fold hop is I pull it back, like I do that, but to the other hand, hey, and then fold it as I do it. Boom. Those are fold hops as well. But they're a little bit harder. I'm pulling the hoop back and twisting that as I throw. Again, these are just the basics of folding. It's the palm spin. Essentially, it's like doing a palm spin and pulling the hoop back. Oh, sweet. I'm glad you guys are getting this in here. Oh, yeah, and of course I can switch to the same hand, like if I'm doing that, I don't know. Basically, it's like I'm trying not to get too complicated here, but this is me if I do it to the same hand. Fold hops. Sweet, Jess. I'm glad you like it. Thank you, Sophie. I appreciate you guys joining in and just really digging having the opportunity to do all this stuff with you guys. There is... Actually, I think that's probably good. Sweet. Thank you. I think I'm just going to free hoop for you guys, and we'll just call it a night. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I really appreciate it. I know this is super basic, but I was just trying to get your juices flowing and get things going for you. So thank you so much, everybody. And we'll just free hoop, or I'll free hoop. You can just stand there. And thank you for everybody that's donating. These donations are helping me out so much. I had no idea it would be like this. And, your $3 means a lot to me. And just kind of like, I feel love from it, so thank you. It's just the act, it's not the amount. All right, guys, the replay will be on YouTube. I'm just going to hoop. You can free hoop, listen to music. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Angie. I'm glad I could be a highlight. Big love. I'm going to free hoop this song. Maybe one more. Thank you guys so much. Thank you again, everybody. Thank you for... Yeah, all this music is going to be on my SoundCloud, guys. The playlist is already made and throw up. I picked a lot of songs from the same genre. SoundCloud suggested a lot of this playlist. What's up, Marlis? Oh, man. Alpine, Texas, and you, man, thank you so much. That was such a beautiful experience. Oh, man. Make a heart smile. Just in case anyone is here, you can still, this is balance folding. Balance folding. 1 point, kind of hard, you have to sort of spin it. 2 point, a little bit easier. This is balance folding. I guess this would be folding 2. Right? This track is perfect for this. This will be the last track, no matter what. I like this stuff. Thank you. Thank you, Jess. banging. Thank you, everybody. Oh, we are having a jam on Saturday. If anybody is still here, we are having a jam. Oh, this is a balance fold hop. Ooh. Balance point. Fold hop. Ooh. Looking good. That's better. Maybe we'll have a balance class on a Monday night soon. Thank you so much for everybody that's joined me and supported. I really appreciate it. Just being here is support. Thank you. All right, guys. Calling it a night. Thank you very much.